Hey, we're the Diva Docs. You have myself, Elisa O'Keefe-Smith, and Dr. Tina Scott, and we are here today talking with Range Da Messenga and 5 Grand. Both of you have amazing tracks that deal with these issues going on right now, and you know, to put that out there shines another light on what needs to be shone. We need to bring attention to it in a non-violent manner.
Sure. Well, the name of the track is called Temperatures Still Rising. I did it with Conglomeration. I have a group that I recently had a hand in putting together. It's a group of basically of a bunch of different solo artists that decided just to kind of pursue things. It's kind of like a side project for us all. And so a lot of the music that we do is very, very conscious. And there was a song around 1994, 1995 called Temperatures Rising by a group called Mobb Deep. And I always loved that track. And I had a young partner of mine back home in Roanoke, Virginia, who's an up-and-coming producer who did kind of like a trapped beat kind of spin on that particular track that I asked him to do. And we just started talking about just the way that the temperature's still rising. Like, it's a very powerful
Absolutely,
song.
and I had listened to it. You sent it to me.
I'm definitely hyped about
That's
it.
awesome.
The music is great. So it kind of spans, the group kind of spans the hip hop and the R&B or soul side, even pop. So so with the music, you know, we definitely want the music to touch on things and get basically to the essence of hip hop, which is hip hop is community based. You know, so we want to take the community back. And all movements have music that you remember that movement by, or that spearheads the movement.
Exactly.
So you know, I'm gonna take it.
Yeah, so 5 Grand, again, what a great track, When the World Turns Blue. You've got to check it out. Everyone, When the World Turns Blue, amazing track. 5 Grand, if you want to tell us a little bit about how it came to be.
Yeah, well, actually, I wrote the song 2 years ago, so it wasn't initially about, you know, the Eric Garner situation or a particular situation per se. It was inspired after the Newtown tragedies, you know, the killing of the children or whatever, which is definitely a tragedy. But I remember thinking to myself, seeing all the media coverage that it got, I remember thinking to myself, like, wow, like, you know, this is like all over the news, worldwide news or whatever. But when our kids die, you see it for a second, and then they go over to the weather. And I decided to, you know, vent out with my music and write a song about it. And that's pretty much how the inspiration of the song came about. And I kind of surrounded it with other things that were going on in the community.
Exactly, exactly. And the actual footage that you have in it is very poignant, very, 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 it almost takes your breath away because it's the reality of what's going on. And it's shocking.
But just admiring what you are doing. I'm old, so I'm thinking back to Public Enemy. When Public Enemy used to have those messages, and I still listen to them today when I'm on the treadmill, but they send a message that's powerful, that'll make movement in a positive direction. And I know rap sometimes can be labeled as good and bad, and I'm sometimes the one that labels it. I need a message to move me in a positive direction. And I recall doing this hip-hop discussion, and the young kids was like coming at me because I wasn't embracing some of the music, and they were saying it was hip-hop. And I agree it's hip-hop, but I'm thinking about Public Enemy, because Public Enemy had me moving in a positive direction. It didn't have me doing some of the things that were so negative that the media puts in the spotlight. So I had to remind them, even though I'm old, I know a lot about hip hop. And I just admire you too for doing that, and I'm definitely going to check you out.
Well, they took that out of the mainstream on purpose.
Yes.
They took that out of the mainstream to set up today.
Yep.
You know, and when I start to talk to people about things like martial law and things like that, they don't understand that those concepts are just like everything else. Like I said, it started a long time ago.
Right.
So if you think to the early 90s, the late 80s, early 90s, when you had a plethora of different types of rap that was mainstream, and then you brought in kind of like the Jiggy era, but they did it so strategically And all of a sudden, like all of the positive rap music started to disappear. And then it got to the point where in the 2000s, it became a black eye to be a conscious MC. To be it was like, we don't want to hear you preach, we want to party and we want to turn up. But in the partying and the turning up, you lost like almost a whole generation of what would have been activists. Because when you talk about Public Enemy, when you talk about X-Clan, when you talk about music from that era, those guys were activists. And so it was understood that the music, like I said, there's no movement if there's no music to fuel the movement. So they cut the movement off at the head by saying, okay, no heroes. All of your heroes are going to be ratchet. All of your heroes are going to have, multiple women. All of your heroes are going to sell drugs. All of your heroes bust guns. To the point that if you haven't been locked up, you're not a real man. You know what I'm saying? Or you're not a real nigga. And so it came away from the king talk. It came away from the productive, brotherhood talk to, you want to be a real nigga. So but everything moves in cycles, and it's time for us to take that back.
We're the Diva Docs, Dr. Tina Scott, and myself, Elisa Smith, with Range Da Messenga and 5 Band, and we're signing off. Ciao.